What's going on, y'all? Machiavelli Mills TV. So about a week ago, I made a video about Max Kellerman and Stephen A. Smith's relationship and how it seems to, after he kicked Max Kellerman off of ESPN First Take, he tried to deny it, but he for damn sure kicked him off and got him up out of there, got him the boot, because he has the clout, the cachet to make shit move and make stuff happen at ESPN. Everybody knows that he's the highest paid dude there. He's been carrying ESPN on his back, and he's been doing it a great job at it. I just never liked how the whole situation with Max Kellerman went about, right? And I'm like, yo, he's seemed very snark to Max. He seemed like he's been trying to slight Max at every turn, every time people ask about it. His responses to why Max Kellerman, what happened to Max Kellerman, is gotten more disrespectful as the time went on. Talking about, like doubting if Max had the clout and cachet to be sitting across from him. You know what I mean? Like, if he had a problem, if Max had basically stating that Max had a problem resonating to the public, to the people, like the people didn't take to him because he wasn't a journalist. He didn't have a journalist background. He wasn't a former professional athlete. So the people did not take to him like that. And like basically questioning how Max didn't improve sitting across him and how he didn't get better across from him as the time went on. And I felt like that was disrespectful and way out of bounds. But one thing I thought about, and Marcellus Wiley said this too, but I want to expound upon it, upon that. Stephen A. Smith, when he brought Max on because he wanted Max to be the perfect foil for him, right? Stephen A. Smith's a black man. You get a white guy to sit across from you, right? Max is from the boxing world. Everybody knows basketball is Stephen A. Smith's favorite sport, so much so that Skip Bayless named him Stephen Naismith because he thinks he knows everything about the sport of basketball, right? Max isn't a journalist, but he's a very opinionated individual, just like Stephen A. is. But one thing I think that Stephen A. didn't account for is that Max doesn't have the opinions of the average, the conservative white male. And I feel like he should have known that if he would have known anything about Max Kellerman. He doesn't have the opinion of the conservative white male in America. And I think Stephen A. Smith was hoping for that so that debates, would be more interesting and more favorable to him, especially when it came to topics about, what's the word I'm looking for? When it came to any social issues or, social justice, certain stuff with, any type of thing going on with, what's the word I'm looking for? God damn. My mind is just went blank. Any type of issues going on in society, especially with black people, black American folks, any type of issues with that, I feel like he wanted somebody that would be so opposite of him that he would look good on those segments. But what happened is Max Kellerman shined so bright when it came to any type of social issues in America dealing with black folks. And Stephen A. Smith found himself on the wrong side of the average black American's thought process. He found himself on the wrong side of the narrative when he went against the average black American on some things, particularly the Colin Kaepernick situation, but other things as well. And it rubbed black America, Stephen A. Smith rubbed black America the wrong way. But at the same time, they really was feeling Max. They really gave him kudos and praise. And Stephen A. didn't like that. I think he felt, what's the word I'm looking for? He felt insecure about that. And I think maybe Max was threatening his spot or threatening his relatability with the black American public. And he felt that was in jeopardy as long as Max stayed on his show. You see, again, when Terrell Owens said that Max is seeming blacker than you, I told y'all I don't like when black folks give non-black people this black card, because I don't care, even if they agree with us and they side with us on certain issues that we got going on in the public. And wow, is greatly appreciated. And yeah, use your privilege to speak on some issues that we're facing and use your voice. Yeah, your voice and your privilege to bring awareness of what's going on in our community. You're never going to be a black person, no matter how much you agree with us. So you would never know what it's like to live in this black skin. However, when he said that about Max Kellerman, Max is seeming blacker than you, it struck a chord with Stephen A. It hit him in his soul, and he never forgot that shit. That, and when the reaction to Terrell Owens saying that, I think got Stephen A. Smith enraged. And he was pissed the fuck off. And he said, oh no, never again, never this shit no more. And so after that, he said, oh no, I gotta move this dude around. He gotta go. Because he's threatening my what's the word? My clout and cachet within the black community on social issues dealing with our people. And yeah, that's why, and he was counting on Max being a guy who would probably be on the other end of the spectrum. So far from him that he could look like the good guy, the great guy, the upstanding black man across from Max Kellerman. But Max does not have the, I'm sorry, I'm looking at my boy. Max doesn't have the average white American views, the average conservative white American views. But that's why Stephen A. Smith got a guy like Mad Dog across from him. Because I can't stand Mad Dog. I really can't. And nobody is calling for Mad Dog to be on TV. Nobody, he doesn't have a humongous fan base. Nobody, Mad Dog don't got no damn Stan account that I know of, or none of that, right? He doesn't have clout and cachet and an important voice, and black folks, I mean, ain't vying to hear what Mad Dog got to say. And hell, white folks not vying to hear what Mad Dog got to say. But as long as he sits across from Mad Dog, Stephen A. Smith looks like Malcolm X. Stephen A. Smith looks like Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. Stephen A. Smith looks like the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan across from Mad Dog. Because Mad Dog is so conservative on the other end of the spectrum that he looks good just by saying stuff that is not damaging the black folks in a way when it comes to certain issues or black athletes, etc. So he'll look good. You know, riding with Coach Prime and Mad Dog is on the opposite end of the spectrum. Black folks gonna show love to Stephen A. for doing so. He'll be in good favor with black folks. On the other hand, Mad Dog is gonna be like, oh, Stephen A. will look good for siding with, Stephen A. Smith will look good for siding with Coach Prime. He'll be in good favor. Mad Dog will be in bad favor with black Americans. And that way, Stephen A. Smith can feel secure in this space and his relatability with black American people. He's safe. He doesn't have a threat sitting across from him when it comes to his relatability and his voice within the black community. Max Kellerman was a threat to that. And so there were insecurities. There were, I believe there was some resentment for how revered Max Kellerman was when it comes in the black community and how respected he was when it came to certain social issues that people expected, black folks expected a guy like Stephen A. Smith to understand all the way around all the time. But unfortunately, he let stuff ride. I can imagine Max Kellerman talking to him about that picture with Jerry Jones sitting in that crowd of the crowd of young white kids standing up trying to stop black folks from integrating into their schools. Stephen A. Smith stood firm by Jerry Jones. I'm talking about was mad at anybody getting mad that Jerry Jones was in the picture. Anybody indicating, hey, this looks fishy, Stephen A. Smith was pissed the fuck off about it. Max Kellerman would have had a take that I promise you would have put Stephen A.'s favor in the black community, would have put him deeper in jeopardy. But Stephen A. Smith already made himself look crazy because after he said what he said, defending Jerry Jones so staunchly, black folks were scratching their heads, shaking their head, looking at him like, brother, what the hell is going on with you? So he made himself look bad either way with Max Kellerman gone. But can you imagine if Max was there to be the right in this situation? If he was there to just say the correct stuff that people needed to hear and needed to be said? Black folks would have been like, listen, man, your black card is revoked, Stephen A. Smith. Max Kellerman out here killing you on these issues, and we want him to be the voice for us on this show rather than you. And that is what was starting to happen. But Stephen A. Smith didn't account for that when he first brought Max in. Marcellus Wiley said he asked Max, he was begging for Max to come on there. Right? He needed that type of guy, but he didn't need that type of guy. He thought he was getting another type of guy. When he got up in there, he said, oh boy, oh shit. Scratching his head, scratching the back of his neck. The hairs were standing up on the back of his neck when he was seeing what was happening. The response Max was getting from the black community was strong. So when Stephen A. Smith says Max Kellerman wasn't resonating with the public, He's out of his fucking mind, because especially with black folks love Max Kellerman. Even non-white folks had a lot of, even non-black folks had respect and admiration for Max Kellerman. He's an intelligent guy, a deep thinker, right? He's an independent, he thinks on his own, and he can articulate that in a way that is very much appreciated, giving you great anecdotes to go along with certain stories of his it made it relatable, but he broke it down to a way that everybody could understand. And you was like, damn, I like the way that brother broke that down. I like the way he poked his chest out and said what he had to say. He said what needed to be said, but black folks was looking for Stephen A. Smith to say, and he said the opposite. So Stephen A. was threatened by that. He was threatened by Max's presence across the room from him because Max is super intelligent. And certain tactics that Stephen A. Smith usually used would not work because Max ain't having it. Max can refute himself in great arguments, and he can make Stephen A. Smith look silly in certain arguments, especially when it's going with social issues in America, particularly dealing with black Americans. All right, Machiavelli Mills TV, I'm out. Peace.